This is part 2 in my tutorial series on how to make a Kig Style Fursuit head just like these ones. In this part I will show you how to cover a head base in Mochi Menki. If you don't know what either of those things are, I highly encourage you to check out part 1, which you will find in the description and in the iCard section. And with that we can finally get to crafting. The most important thing in working with Mochi Minky is to make sure that your hands are clean and that your surface is clean. Now my surface is never clean, that's why I use blue towel in order to make it clean. Blue towel also isn't clean, but the other side is. The first thing we need to do is we need to find the direction of the fur on the Minky, because Minky is technically a very short faux fur. The easiest way to do this is to run your hand over the fur. If you're going left to right, you won't feel any difference. So if you're going against the direction of the fur, you will feel a slight resistance and the fabric is going to look slightly rougher. If you're going with the direction of the fur, it's going to feel and look very smooth. So what we want to do is we want to lie it with the direction of the fur towards us and then upside down. And now we're going to lay the head base on top. Basically what you want is you want the direction of the fur to be this way. And this is where you will need your clips. I'm going to use these clips just because I have a lot of them. We start this process by pinning all 4 directions. So we start with the top, just clip it in, perfect. Then the bottom, and you have to stretch a lot in order to do this. But that is fine, that's the way it should be. Now with this, our breast is already partially covered. I think you can already see where we're trying to go with this. And we just need to pin it in place so that it's not wrinkly anywhere at all. This is what the head base is supposed to look like from the outside. You can see it's pretty much wrinkle-free all the way around. And at this point we can start gluing. Hold that thought. First I need to show you how to use contact cement. Contact cement is solvent based, so you need to protect yourself, wear a mask and wear gloves and work in a well ventilated area. You can use contact cement in 2 ways. You can do one-sided gluing, which works like any other gluing you've ever done, and two-sided gluing, in which you apply the glue to both areas you want to stick together. Then you wait for about 2 to 10 minutes depending on how absorbent your material is, and then you stick it together with as much force as you possibly can, and then it just sticks immediately. I personally use both depending on the situation, and now we can go back to the video. I wore a respirator while gluing, so this part is voiceover. When gluing, I go in a similar pattern to how I clipped it, so I do the left and the right and the top first. I remove the clip, I put on some glue, I put the clip back on to hold it in place while it dries, and I just go around. I'd recommend that you do the upper edge first and the chin last, because the chin is a bit more finagly and that way you have time to get used to the process. You can of course use hot glue for this step if you prefer it. When I'm sure that everything is glued, I remove all the clips, I check that everything is glued properly, and then I trim off the edge of a fabric so that it's not in the way for the next step. I want to secure down the fabric on the bridge of the nose, because that will dome a bit if we don't. This is one of those cases where contact cement is easier to use. It's very hard to reach in between the eyes and on the bridge of the nose with a hot glue gun. With contact cement, I can just apply the glue to my gloved pinky finger and shove my finger into that space. And then I press down the fabric from the outside in order to secure down the bridge of the nose. I apply glue to the fabric inside of the eye holes and the edges of the plastic of the eye holes. And I do the same thing for the mouth and the eyebrows. Once the glue is no longer tacky, I can press the fabric against the plastic edges, so when I start cutting the holes, the fabric doesn't stretch away. Once the holes are cut, I fold the excess fabric over to the inside of the mask. This makes the mask look clean from the outside. Something you see me do a lot is working in circles, so I apply glue to, let's say, the right eye. But the glue now has to dry until no longer tacky. So I move on to the left eye, and then I move on to the mouth, and once these two things are glued, I can go back to the right eye and stick everything down permanently. I do this in order to avoid wait times. And this is what the fully furred head base looks like. In my opinion, this is one of the harder steps of the process, so if you did this successfully, I'd say you're off to a very good start. That's all I have for you on how to cover a Kig Style Fursuit Head base in Minky fabric. If you don't want to miss the next part, I kindly ask you to subscribe, ring the bell, and maybe like if you found this helpful. And if you want to do me a huge favor, please give me some feedback on this tutorial series. Is there anything I explained weirdly? Is there anything you want to know that I didn't mention at all? And do you think these videos are the right length? Because I've been trying to keep these videos under 10 minutes long in order to not overwhelm you with too much information, and I'm honestly not sure if that's the correct way to go about it. Anyways, I wish you good luck with your project, and I hope to see you in the next part. Thank you so much for watching.